Blog Talk Radio.
He is the last of his kind. All that remains of a once powerful nation. Some think he is a myth. Some believe he is the chosen one, who will bring balance to a world at war. And some will stop at nothing to destroy him.
Welcome, Moors, Egyptians, to Moorish Talk Live 100. I'm your host, Tarhaka Amana El Bay, and tonight we will be dealing with part 2, Tarhaka and Dr. Walter Williams on the resurrection of ancient Egypt. The resurrection of ancient Egypt, part 2. And we will be dealing with the following question and much, much more. Why must ancient Egypt be resurrected in the minds of the so-called black people? Where are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians today? Where? I mean, when you go to North Africa and look in there, you're looking around with, there's all these African statues over here. Who are these people on the land calling themselves Egypt? Flogging. So, where are the descendants of the ancient Egyptians today? Number 3, are the Moors and the ancient Egyptians one and the same people? So we had the Moorish Empire. We had the ancient empire of the Kushite nation on earth. Number 4, are there ancient pyramids built in the Americas? Do we have pyramids built in the Americas? And if we do, who built them? Who? These are just a few of the questions that we're going to deal with tonight. My special guest is Dr. Walter Williams. He'll be in here with us this evening, and we're going to be dealing with these questions and the resurrection of ancient Egypt, part 2. So y'all sit back, relax, and we're going to go to our commercial break, and when we come back, we'll be ready to go in. So y'all hold your hat. Let's see.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chantel, and the time for becoming a secured party and creditor is now. To do it right, go to www.newdebtelimination.org. That's www.newdebtelimination.org. Contact Tarhaka, learn how to be a creditor, learn how to live in the private, find out what private banking is all about, learn about being in your proper status in commerce, learn what a national and diplomat is all about. www.newdebtelimination.org.
Hi everyone, this is Tarhaka. My new website is online and visible now at www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's TarhakaDebtelimination.org. All you have to do is subscribe by putting in your email and click send. I'll rush you my free report. That includes the information you need on big tobacco and how to get paid, much more. New website is up and running, TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Just subscribe, and I'll rush you my free report, which includes everything that you'll need to know about big tobacco and much more information whereby you can make money. TarhakaDebtElimination.org. Hey everybody, this is Tarhaka again. I would like to introduce you to the Great Debate. We now have copies of the Great Debate. Dr. Walter Williams debates Prince Ezio ben Israel of the Hebrew Israelites. Also, Reverend Henry Hardy of one of the most prominent churches in Chicago, Illinois. Chester Blair, a major attorney in Chicago. And Munir Muhammad of the Nation of Islam. The whole thing is hosted by W.L. Lillard. Dr. Walter Williams debate these men on their belief versus what he knows for a fact and he can prove. Get your copy by going to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org, or you can go to newdataelimination.com. newdataelimination.com. Contact me for your copies. Okay? The Great Debate. You got any questions, just give me a shout. Peace.
For Tarhaka's free report, go to tarhakadebtelimination.org. Put in your email address, and he will rush your free report to your email box. Learn about what's going on in America. Learn about big tobacco and what's in it for you. Go to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. I'm Chantel. Thanks.
All right, everybody, we're back. Now, I want to make first of all, let me give a shout out to the brothers and sisters that got your secured party credit package, making tremendous progress. Quite proud of you. And, boy, some of y'all are amazing in dealing with you, operating in the private, got your trust set up, you're functioning properly, and, man, it's really worth my while getting this stuff out there to you. And I want to say congratulations to you guys for the tremendous work that you've done for yourself and for your family, and moving yourself out of debt. And oh, man, it's just fantastic. But I just wanted to give you all a shout-out and let you know I'm proud of you, and well done. Well done. For those of you who do not have our secure party and creditor package, if you don't know anything about what it means to be a secure party and creditor, or how to operate in the private versus public, go to newdataelimination.org. That's newdataelimination.org. You contact me, and we'll get with you on that. Now, my guest has not arrived as of yet, but what I want to do is I want to set the stage, because we have quite a few people coming in, and the switchboard is filling up, and I'm going to deal with the introduction to his book. Dr. Walter Williams has written a book called The Historical Origins of Christianity, and that is the title of the book. And at the bottom of this book, he plainly states the following: there has never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. Now, I was listening to the radio, because I spend a lot of time listening to the radio, and I just happened to be sitting there listening to the weather. I want to know what's going on, what's the latest headlines and stuff, radio style. And all of a sudden, they come in there and they start talking about, well, according to statistics, Bible sales, the Bible has increased tremendously. I mean, Bibles, the number one bestseller, they just rebuying the Bible. It's just over in Europe and over in the Americas, the sales have increased. More and more people are buying the Bible. I say, whoa, what is this? Now, I know me and Dr. Williams have been on the blog talk for a little while, getting ready for 2021. But I guess you thought we were going away. No, you can't sneak back in and pump no new life into an old life. So we're finna start dealing with you right now. All this is what the Bible sales to increase. So you, if it has, so you still got a whole lot of people that's trying to swallow a big fat lie. But nevertheless, that's what they did. And I was shocked. I said, well, what in the heck is this? You still, after all this truth that Dr. Walter Williams and I have dispensed throughout the world, you still gonna come back and tell the same lie again? When the man that broke it down word for word, point for point, all the way down for you, and then exposed all the lies and the hypocrisy, all of it has been exposed, and you coming back and telling us, trying to lead the general public to believe that you should go out and get you another Bible and start back reading the Bible, because a lot of more people out there to start buying the Bible again. Baloney. If it was a lie yesterday, it's still a lie today. Ain't nothing brand new about an old lie. Nothing at all. Okay? In the introduction to Dr. Walter Williams' book, it states the following. As we approach the dawn of a new century, the Western communities continue to consolidate themselves politically, economically, and militarily. Yet the powers behind these societies go far beyond their military bases. The key to Western power can only be gauged by its ability to control people throughout the world. To that end, the Western world has incorporated a philosophy of psychology where myths, lies, and deception are the order of the day. And death and destruction are the Western ways of life. Historically, as you progress through time, you will eventually encounter a powerful triad of religions, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. All of these religions have had strong mass appeal and persuasive power, and they remain the most powerful tools in the Western world arsenal of controlling force. These religions serve as the ultimate century of Western world entry. They were developed and are perpetuated persuasive past gains and present gains and ensure future gains, contrary to popular belief. Christianity serves as the foundation for both Islam and Judaism. To understand the historical origin of Christianity is to understand the true nature and purpose of religion. To understand religion is to take it out of its romantic and mysterious and mystical and expose it as having no historical realism or boundary. The only boundaries these religions have are that of the writer's imagination. Wow. Before we go any further, I'm going to open up the phone lines and let Dr. Williams come on in here. But before we do that, we're going back to one more conversion. When we come back, we'll be ready to go. Y'all hold your hat, get your paper and pencil, and put it down so that you can take notes on some of this stuff, because we're going to expose this thing again tonight. So hold on one more time.
Hi, Chantel again. If you have problems with mortgages or foreclosure, credit card debt, child support, student loan debt, etc., go to www.newdebtelimination.org. That's www.newdebtelimination.org. Contact Tarhaka. You don't have to be burdened with debt. Set yourself free today. www.newdebtelimination.org. contact Tarhaka today. Peace.
All right, everybody, we back. Now, they've got this thing going now where the Democrats are going to come into office, and they say the first order of the day will be the giving of student loan debt. We're going to see how that's going to go. Okay? So y'all pay attention, and let's see what they're going to do about that. All right? Area code 773, Dr. Walter Williams, you are on the air. Are you with us, my brother?
Yes, I'm here, Brother Tarhaka. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're coming across loud and clear. Welcome, welcome, welcome for our first broadcast in 2021. And we're ready to roll, man. We got our switchboard lit up over here, and we got a lot of new people from we got some new social sites and stuff that we have placed quite a bit of information on our previous broadcasts and other things that we post. And they're here. They're eager to hear you, some of them for the first time. So could you give us a little background information on you and tell us about your books and where they can get them and all of that good stuff, if you would, please?
Okay. I'm Walter Williams, and I have written two books. One, The Historical Origin of Christianity. The thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth in human form of any race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. And that is captioned on the front page of my book, The Historical Origin of Christianity. And that book has been out for 27 years now, selling all over America, in the UK, in the Caribbean, any English-speaking country, you can find my book. My second book, The Historical Origin of Islam, has been out for 18 years. And the thesis of that book is saying that there's never been a man that ever walked the earth by the name of a Prophet Muhammad of Islamic tradition. So if an individual wants to get started into understanding about these man-made religions, those two books I would recommend, not because I am the author of them, not because I'm trying to sell books. I don't make a living selling books, but just for the information that's in these two books. You need to know that. Because, like Tarhaka said, about the Bible, you should understand that man-made religions was created by man. And one of the first things for you to understand is that you, the human being, no human on earth, was born with a religion. You came out of your mother's body after being impregnated by your father's sperm, incubated in her body for 9 months. At the end of that incubation period, you came into this world, and you were attached to her umbilical cord. The umbilical cord was cut to separate you from your mother. And at that point, you had life surging through your body. So the gift from your mother and father who created you is life and not a religion. So you have to understand that you were not born with a religion, that man created a religion for man, for you, in order to control your thinking and your actions. So therefore, religions clogs up an individual's life. You have 8 billion humans walking this earth as human beings of all races, creeds, and color. And no human was born with a religion. So if you can really understand that, you're on your way to understanding about these religions and what religion has done to you and against you, that puts you in a difficult place to keep you from thinking. See, religions are kept together by belief. All religions are kept together by belief. If you don't believe the stories that's attached to the religion is dead. It has no value to it. But you, the human being, give life to all religions by your belief. So therefore, you have to know something and learn something about belief, about religions, which is glued together by one's human belief, giving that religion your personal life. You are the one, you the human being, with your indwelling, given gift from your parents, your mother and father, which is life. After incubating in her body for 9 months, you give that life to that religion to keep that religion alive or make it come alive. That's the same thing with the Bible. The Bible is the same thing. The Bible is a book that one has to believe in. If you do not believe in the stories in the Bible, then the stories has no value to it, because it has to get into the minds of an individual human by way of that human being giving life to that Bible story or the Bible in general by their spiritual input into that Bible by way of belief. So that you really have to understand. Now, also, Tarhaka produces this show every Sunday or every last Sunday of every month. Sometimes we get off schedule because things happen technically. So we are back on the air at this day and date because we had difficulties in the past couple of weeks past that brought in the in year 2021. So therefore, every last Sunday of every month, we usually have our radio broadcast that we're having today. But I'm saying that to say this. When you listen to our show that's produced by Tarhaka Monreal Bay, and he's kind enough to have me, Walter Williams, as his special guest, we bring subjects to our listening audience that's not based on foolishness, but it's based on facts. So therefore, we have something like he mentioning prior to me coming on about the Bible. What he told you about the Bible, he's telling you that to make you think. What comes out of my mouth, I'm bringing this information coming to you from my mouth to make you think. That's all. Past that, it's nothing. This program is designed for our African community in America and throughout the world. So therefore, please accept this program as being a program that brings information that you cannot get from other programs that is broadcast throughout America and throughout the world. Now, sometimes we repeat the same subjects. Why? Because we get requests for the repetition of the subject that we maybe have talked about 2 months ago. But sometimes one lecture or one program cannot give the total information to the listener. Sometimes he misses the information that's being disseminated to him. And so therefore he wants to hear it again so he can, get his questions answered that way. So I suggest to the listening audience, keep paper and pen ready at all times in order for you to take notes on things that you hear that you want us to expound on after you hear it, or you can think about it, and maybe the next time that we're on, you can bring it to our attention that you are interested for us to clear this question that you may have about these different subjects. So I have written these two books, and you can purchase these two books, The Historical Origin of Christianity by Walter Williams and The Historical Origin of Islam by Walter Williams. You can go through your local African bookstore or your local bookstore in the city or location where you live, or you go on Amazon. You can purchase my two books, or you can call my friend, our friend to the show, Brother Noel. Yoel is the owner of the Underground Bookstore in Chicago, and he is one of my distributors of these two books. And you can reach him at 773-768-8869. Again, Brother Yoel, the Underground Bookstore, 773-768-8869, and you can order my books from Brother Yoel, the Underground Bookstore. Now, anytime that you listen to a program produced by Tarhaka Bay, we are going to disseminate some useful information to our African community. Why? Because at this time in history, we as an African people living in the United States of America need this information. Very, very critical and very vital to our people at this time. I'm talking about the Africans in America. The Africans in America are the leaders of the world today as I speak. You may not think that, but the whole world is following this American Negro, who is a descendant of the greatest people that has ever walked this earth as human beings, known in history as the ancient Egyptians. We are the direct descendants of the ancient Egyptians. Okay? So, and we, from our culture that we created in America, that culture that we created in America, the whole world follows that culture and uses that culture from the creation of the things that we have created over in this country, such as our music, jazz, blues, gospels, and the many hundreds of inventions that we have created while living in this country. You see? So I want to bring that to your attention, that the world follows us. Now, who are we as an African people? We are descendants of the greatest people that's ever walked this earth, again, known as the ancient Egyptians. Okay? But today, in America, we call ourselves African Americans, blacks, Negro, and we call ourselves Moors, and you heard of the Dogons. The Dogons and the ancient Egyptians are one and the same. The Moors are one and the same as the ancient Egyptians. Moor is a nickname. African Americans are, in fact, the descendants of the ancient Egyptians. Again, black, if you call yourself black, descendants of the ancient Egyptians. If you call yourself Negro, Negro and black is synonymous, given to us as a people by the Spanish. See? And then you maybe have read books on the Dogons. The Dogons and the ancient Egyptians are the same. Maybe you heard the name Berber. The name Berber is another name for the ancient Egyptians. So what they have done, I'm talking about Western academia, they have tore us away from our ancestors' roots and identifying with our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. That was done on purpose. They don't want you to know who you are. Because if once you claim, I'm talking about you Africans living in America now, who call themselves African Americans, Negroes, and blacks, once you claim ancient Egypt and the ancient Egyptians as your ancestors, then what happens to white supremacy is over with. So they hold on to white supremacy by teaching us away from who we are and who our ancestors are. They don't want us connected with our ancestors because this is the only way they can hold on to white supremacy. The moment that you walk on the world stage and call out your ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, as being your ancestors, white supremacy is over with. So this program that you're hearing now will bring you different information through this program by you listening to this program and by Brother Tarhaka having me on as a special guest. We bring you the history and origin of the Bible. That's the subject. That you should know about because our lives are entwined with the Bible in our lives. It's been there for years, and it's passed down from generation to generation, so you should know something about the history and origin of the Bible. You should know about the council meetings that had taken place in Northeast Africa, known today as the Middle East, which the word Middle East is given to the country and the land area known as Northeast Africa, and they changed it to the Middle East, which is a political name. You should know about those ecumenical council meetings because they're very important. They're loaded with history. Which is the first council meeting was Council of Nicaea 1-325. Second council meeting, Council of Constantinople 1-381. The third council meeting, which is the very most important council meeting, is the Council of Ephesus 431. And that's the Council of Ephesus. That's where Christ, the non-human, Christ was created, and the non-human, the Virgin Mary, was created. So you should know about that. You should know about the fourth council meeting, ecumenical council meeting, held in Northeast Africa. These council meetings are held in Northeast Africa, known as Turkey. Turkey is in Northeast Africa, what they call the Middle East today. That fourth ecumenical council meeting is called the Council of Chalcedon 451. Then you have the fifth council meeting, which is called the Council of Constantinople 553. Then you have the sixth council meeting that was held in Northeast Africa called the Council of Hyrule. I'm the only one, I think, that talks about that. And that was in 754. Then you have the eighth council meeting, which is the Council of Nicaea II, the iconoclastic council meeting of 787. Then you have the ninth ecumenical council meeting of Constantinople IV, and that is called the Focis Philocque council meeting. You should know that the word Philocque is nothing but another name for Christ. But see, when I take you and walk you through those council meetings, that enlightens you. You see? That adds on to your scholarship. Or that is something I'm giving out as information maybe you heard for the very first time, which is good because you hear it being disseminated on this show. These are some of the things that we talk about, you see. Then we talk about the resurrection of ancient Egypt, which we're talking about today. We want you to understand about ancient Egypt and about who the ancient Egyptians are and who we are, you see. Now, getting back to us in this country, at the time of slavery in this country, 1619, we became Negroes because in 1492 on a ship out of Spain over into this hemisphere. That ship belonged to Christopher Columbus, who got lost thinking that he was in the West Indies somewhere or in India, but he was over here in this hemisphere without him knowing it. So in 1492, at the request of Ferdinand and Isabella, which they created what is known as the Spanish Inquisition of 1478, to get rid of the Moors out of Spain. Those Moors, like I said, were descendants of the ancient Egyptians, and that it was given a nickname by the Spanish. They were called Black Moors because they used Morocco and the Strait of Gibraltar to impart to go to Spain by way of, at the end of that Strait of Gibraltar, you had to take a boat and travel 8.9 miles from that point to the shores of Spain. Once they reached that, the Spanish-speaking people who asked them to come in, they didn't invade in there. They were asked by the Spanish people to come in and bring civilization to pagan, heathen, uncivilized Spain and the Spanish people. So once over there, coming from Morocco, using the Strait of Gibraltar, using the boat that took them from that strait of Morocco that extended into the Mediterranean, they traveled 8.9 miles, and once they got into Spain, the Spanish people called them Blackamoors, which is nothing but a nickname for the ancient Egyptians. See, so all this is history that you should know about so you can expand your scholarship. And maybe it'll take you in a different direction, which is good. Once you get in a different direction, you begin to evolve. And this is what this program is all about for you, the African in this country, to evolve. So once in this country, 1492 with Christopher Columbus, to the time and the advent of slavery of 1619 was a period of 127 years. Nobody talks about that period from 127 years, from 1492 to 1619. That 127 years was used by our ancestors, those Moors who was expelled out of Spain, to bring civilization to this hemisphere of the Americas. You see? So now, once that our ancestors who are known as the Moors at that time, coming out of Spain, once that was done, that 127 years of creating civilization over in this hemisphere, the Europeans, again, had to get rid of these Moors or these descendants of the ancient Egyptians, so they erase or try to erase the history of what happened during that 127 years. So they decided to call these Moors Negroes. Now, Negro and black in Spanish is synonymous. So if you say, I'm black, you're saying you're Negro. If you say you're Negro, you're saying you're black. So therefore, what happened at that point, very important, listen to this. In 1619, you became a Negro. The European at that point created a new African, an African without a country, without a history, without a language, without a culture that can be identified at that time in 1619. That culture, a new culture, was created by the Negro in this country. And you know what we have done by way of our creations in this country. This new Negro, this new African, began to create jazz music, blues, spirituals, gospels, inventions such as the toilet, light bulb filter, things like that you can go back and read in different books and find out the inventions that we created over in this country. So we are a creative people. No matter what name you may call us, what land area or country that you put us in, we are still going to create. And from our culture that we created over in this country, the world is following us. Don't think they're not watching us. They study us every day. Every day they're over there digging up our ancestors' graves and plundering over there. They've been doing that for years, for centuries. Okay? So I want you to know how important we are. Don't fluff us off. So on this program that Brother Tarhaka has created, we bring information like that to the forefront. Also, once a year, I bring to the listening audience the history and origin of Christianity. The information that I December in that narrative or in that lecture cannot be found no place on earth. It takes me about 2.5 hours to disseminate all that information, because I'm bringing to you about Serapis, I'm bringing to you about the Hinnoticon, I'm bringing to you about the first 4 council meetings that and take you all through that, all through the other 5 other council meetings. I'm taking you through the Thesis. Probably never heard of that. If you have never heard of the Hinnoticon, all this attached to Christianity. I bring you through monotheism, the one will, one energy in Christ, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot that's being disseminated from this program. And it's very important that you, the listeners, listen to this program. You don't have to, but I suggest that you do. And we don't bring foolishness on this program. This is not an entertainment. We're not here to entertain you. We're here to disseminate something that will keep you evolving, keep you growing, keep you thinking, keep you aware of what has happened to us as a people. It's very important for us, Africans in the United States of America, to find out what happened to our African ancient Egyptian ancestors after the Greeks came into Egypt. You see? So you should know something about that history, and you should know something about European history, so you can compare the information being disseminated by me, by Tarhaka, on this program as to what happened to our African ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, after the Greeks came into Egypt. So, again, we're not entertainers. We're not here to entertain you. And we bring so many other subjects. We bring subjects on, for instance, the Dead Sea Scrolls. We bring information on that. We bring information on the Greek Septuagint, things like that. So there's a lot of information that we bring to our African community that you're not going to get on any other program or any radio show nowhere on earth. And I'm not trying to say this to brag, but I'm talking about facts now, which are stronger than argument, more profound than reasoning, more dependable than opinions, silences dispute, supersedes predictions, and facts always ends the argument. So keep listening to this show, because you never know what you're going to hear. And Tarhaka tell you that if you want to make comments or ask questions, press 1 on your phone dial, and that'll put you right into the queue where where we are at this very moment. And you can ask your questions, make comments, and we can go from there. And again, I want to tell you about my books, The Historical Origin of Christianity, Historical Origin of Islam. There's a lot of information in those books, and I think that an individual should get those books, not because I'm trying to sell you a book. I don't make a living selling books. I reiterate that to you. I don't make a living selling books, just as reference with the information in those two books, which will help you evolve. And before I got on this program, Brother Tarhaka was reading from the introduction to my Historical Origin of Christianity book. And he gave you a sense of what these religions are doing to us as a people and continue to do to us as a people. I want you to remember this. The symbol and the icon and the image of white supremacy is institutionalized in every Christian church throughout America and throughout the world. That image on that cross is a symbol of white supremacy, which is Jesus the Christ. That's a symbol of Christianity. That's a symbol of white supremacy. And I ask our brothers and sisters in the African community who wants to hold on to that, as long as you hold on to that religion called Christianity, as long as you put your energy and your spirit injected in that white image on that cross, Jesus Christ, you will never be free. We as a people will never be free until you release it and understand what this image is and how much damage this image is doing to us, you, and our community. Again, I ask these Christians, what's the name of your God that looks like you? The African. What is your African God that looks like you? They can't tell me because they invested their spirituality in this dead white image on the cross called Jesus Christ. Now, when you go to church, all people of all race and creed and color go to church, sit in the pews of a church. When you go into a church, one does not have to think. You don't have to think. All you have to do is come in there with your belief in this Jesus Christ. You come in there with your belief in the Bible. You come in there with your belief in God. You see? So we even have a topic, Tarhaka and I, on this show about God is not your friend. And we talk about God. And we bring out the problems that God has created in this world, especially for African people and people all over the world. So we have many topics of different subjects that we bring to our listening audience in order for you to begin to think and evolve. See, so that's who I am. I created in 1990, March 11th, I created an ancient Egyptian museum right here in Chicago, 3849 South Michigan Avenue. Opened the doors March 11, 1990. Stayed open for 11 years and closed it January 1, 2001. So that is some of my legacy. I've taught in the college system, Kennedy King, Olive Harvey, and 3 years in Gompers Elementary School to the elementary students about ancient Egypt. That's my subject, ancient Egypt. And that's my life, ancient Egypt. So today, as I speak, the world is changing. Can't you feel it? Can't you see it right before your eyes? And we have to wake up because the world is evolving. And we don't want to be left behind in these churches, bowing down, giving away all of our spiritual power to a dead white man on the cross that don't even look like us. When we do that, we are participating in our own demise. When we do that, we're upholding white supremacy when you do that. Because that image on that cross is a symbol and the icon of white supremacy. Stop doing that. So this program is very important that we have the last Sunday of every month to bring this information to our African community through this program. We are not entertainers. We are teachers. So with the different subjects that we bring to our listening audience that will enhance your growth by making you and keeping you evolving into knowledge. And this is what this program is all about. Brother Tarhaka, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, Dr. Williams, I appreciate you bringing that information out for our new listening audience here. The switchboard is lit up. I want to get the listening audience to let's take a look at the subtle damaging effects of what's been going on that a lot of us probably just didn't pay attention to, because I spent a great deal of time dealing with supreme mathematics. The Moors, which is the nickname for the Egyptians, they are known for that. Supreme mathematics, from 0 to 9. But let's take the number 3. The number 3 is powerful in its perspective, and in my opinion, one of the most powerful numbers are from 0 to 9. Each one of those numbers have a meaning. Now, I brought out a tremendous amount of information on the number 9, but this time, let's look at the number 3. 1 plus 2 equals 3. If you get a piece of paper, you write 1 under that, you put 2 under that, you put 3. We're looking at father or mother, father, and child. Mother, father, child. That is the basic unit of society. And that's covered on the number 3. Mother, father, and child. 1 plus 2 equals 3. Okay, that's scientific fact. Ain't no way to get around that. It's basic. It's just automatic, just common sense. Okay, but now in your Bible and what Western academia has done and what religion has done and what Christianity has done is taken that basic equation and switched it around and led you to believe that it has a different meaning. No, it don't. Mother, father, and child. That's it. That's the basic unit of society. 1, 2, 3. But what we have in your Bible and with Christianity is we have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. We're taking it, basic unit of society. We got rid of Osiris. We got rid of Isis. And we got rid of Horus. And we gave you a whole new equation now. We got the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Okay, now, if we deal with 1, 2, 3, the basic unit of society, we have mother, father, producing the child. We have the growth of the basic unit of society. We have a growth and moving towards becoming a nation of people and growing and expanding. But we cut all of that off when we get you to believe that there can be some growth and that there can be some procreation if we're dealing with a Father, a Son, and a Holy Ghost. Now, I don't know about you, but as long as I've been on earth, I have never seen a ghost get a woman pregnant. What happened to the woman? What happened to the basic unit of society? What happened to procreation? Why is it that when we get in your Bible, then you're telling us, teaching us away from supreme mathematics. You're teaching us away from the basic unit of society, and you're giving us a whole new formula under the number 3 called the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. I just want you to think about that equation there for a moment. Just dealing with the number 3. Mother, father, and child, basic unit of society, 1 plus 2. But over here on the other side, you got Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. No procreation. The growth of your family stops. Matter of fact, it don't even get started. You see. So I just wanted to put that little bit of information out there, Dr. Williams. You've been talking for a little while. We'll come back to get more down into this broadcast, but I'm going to go here and take another little quick commercial break, and we will be right back. Y'all hold on a moment.
Hey everybody, this is Tarhaka again. I would like to introduce you to the Great Debate. We now have copies of the Great Debate. Dr. Walter Williams debates Prince Ezio ben Israel of the Hebrew Israelites. Also, Reverend Henry Hardy of one of the most prominent churches in Chicago, Illinois. Chester Blair, a major attorney in Chicago. And Munir Muhammad of the Nation of Islam. The whole thing is hosted by W.L. Lillard. Dr. Walter Williams debate these men on their belief versus what he knows for a fact and he can prove. Get your copy by going to www.tarhakadebtelimination.org. That's tarhakadebtelimination.org, or you can go to newdataelimination.com. newdataelimination.com. Contact me for your copies. Okay? The Great Debate. You got any questions, just give me a shout. Peace.
Okay, Dr. Williams, we're back. Now, when it comes to the resurrection of ancient Egypt in the minds of our people, I found out that it is 10 times harder to get an individual to unlearn error than it is to learn new truth. And you made some other statements down here in your introduction, and if it's okay with you, I'd like to go ahead and expound on a little bit more of this information that's shared here so our new people in the listening audience so they can get a hold of it. You stay here on the next page, page 10. You say, whether you set these religions in a present or historical setting, whether their true attributes can be extracted and displayed, you will find these attributes to be cold, calculated, deceptive, and devious lies. Western religion is the ultimate deceptive psychological ploy, primarily because religion professes to encompass the Word of God. Therefore, to accept another religion over a Western religion is to be ridiculed and reduced to an uncivilized savage. To deny these Western religions altogether is to damn your soul to eternal suffering. Cosmetically, these religions are embodied with high principles and valued ideas, but underlying this surface is the most devastating psychological ploy imaginable. Unsuspectingly, believers offer little resistance to the acceptance of these religions because typically religion is introduced to them by their parents. The orchestration and embellishment of these religions are primarily functions of the mass news media to visually bring myths and lies to life, to lend validation to them and make them believable in the eyes of the masses. To fuse religion with these mass media is to mathematically multiply and accelerate religious appeal. Okay, I want to stop right there. I want to say something about the basic modus operandi of all religions. And it is in my research and my personal opinion, based on what I have learned, all religions have the same basic concept. First thing you have to do to be involved with a religion is you have to. They have these concepts attached to it. You have the concept attached to religion called belief. Okay, you have to believe. You go to the church, you get at the door. You can't go in there as a thinking individual. You have to put your thinking, leave your thinking at the door, because if you go in there thinking, and if you're a thinking individual, then you're going to start asking questions, and that's dangerous. Okay, so the second thing attached to these religions is they have literature attached to these religions. In the case of Christianity, you have the Bible. In the case of Islam, you have the Quran. In the case of Judaism, you have the Torah, and the list goes on and on and on. The third thing you have is you have this concept attached to it called God. God is attached to religion. God is someone that you have never seen before, someone that you have never met before. This is attached to all religions. The next thing we have is fear. When you get involved with these religions and you begin to believe in these religions, you have to live under a spirit of fear and a loss of confidence, because there is no thinking. And if you're thinking, then you're asking questions. And like I said before, that becomes dangerous, because, see, once you take a real good, close look at what's going on in the eyes of religion, and it's easy for me because I stand back and I know that you can see the forest over and beyond the trees if you stand back. But if you too close to the forest, you can't see the forest for the trees. So it's easy for you to see what's going on when you step back and do the research, do the thinking, ask questions, answer these questions based on the factual information that you have. And if you're going to believe in something, believe in you. And you're going to be, you'll discover that once you start moving away from these religions, then you're going to come under a verbal attack in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, it's coming from your own family members. They want to ridicule you. They want to criticize you. They want to argue with you. They want to debate with you. They want to talk about you. They want to do all these things because you are beginning to think. You're beginning to think. You're moving away from believing in something that you don't know nothing about. You get away from believing in somebody that you ain't never seen. You get away from being fearful about something that you don't know nothing about. And you're getting away from the component of literature that's attached to that particular type of religion. If you're going to do something with it, do an investigation on it. If you don't find the facts that you need, you don't see your people in it, and if it doesn't have your image in it, and if it doesn't have your ancient story in it, and especially if you're dealing with it from a historical standpoint, ancient, I like to use the term ancient, our historical position, then I suggest you take it and throw it in the nearest garbage can. Dr. Williams, that's all I wanted to say about that, and I yield the floor back to you.
Okay, well, what you said is a mouthful, and what you said is absolutely correct. When an individual goes to church, again, they don't have to think. They come into that church with their belief. And at that point of believing, they give away all their spiritual power to this dead white image on the cross. And when you go to church, they give you a package. In that package is Jesus the Christ, something that you have to believe in. The Bible, which is something that you have to believe in. And they give you God, which, like you said, is invisible. No one has ever seen God. So there's something that you have to believe in. But that takes you away from the knowledge of who you are as a human being. You have to first begin to know about yourself first. And once you know about your own personal humanity, then you will realize that you were not born with a religion. You were born and given from your creator and creatress, which is your creator is your father. and the creatress is your mother. You were given life. You was given everything that you need to sustain yourself as a human being spiritually and physically as long as you live. You see, you were given a mind. You were given a spiritual mind. You were given physical things such as your toes, your feet, your arms, your legs, your fingers, ears, eyes, nose, etc. That's what you were given. But you were never, ever given a religion. Man gave you the religion, created for man to control your thinking and your actions. Like Carter G. Woodson said, if you can control a man's thinking, you do not have to worry about his actions. Because if you've been trained to go to the back and enter from the back, and if he goes to the back of a house or building, finds no door there, he will make one because he's been trained to go to the back to find a door to enter in. So you have to begin to think. That's what this program is all about. Think. You have to think in order for you to grow and evolve. But you have to first know about yourself. Who are you? Look in the mirror at yourself. Say, who am I? What was I born with? How did I get here? Don't know. But the only things you know that got you here is your mother and father had a sexual intercourse, and that the sperm of your father was received by your mother's egg. And from that point, 9 months of incubation took place in your mother's body. And at the end of the 9 months, you came out attached to her umbilical cord, that the umbilical cord was cut to separate you from your mother. And at that time, it was cut. You still had life surging through your body. So the umbilical cord served as three things. It served to give you, during your 9 months of incubation, food, air, and water. That's what the purpose of the umbilical cord. And one has to know about the pineal gland. Your pineal gland is a sensor organ that sits in the middle of your brain. It serves as a receiver and a sender between you, the human being, and your personal universe. Hear me out now. The pineal gland, all humans are born with it. It's a conduit that sits in the middle of your brain. It serves as a conduit between you, the human being, and your universe. The bottom of your pineal gland are your nostrils. What do you do with your nostrils? You intake air into your body, into your being, to keep you, the human being, alive. And that conduit, which is the pineal gland, the bottom of that are your nostrils, like I mentioned. The function of that pineal gland is for you, the human being, to keep receiving air through your nostrils. Also, it serves as a conduit between you, the human being, and your personal universe. What is your personal universe? It's your mind. If I cut your head open, I can see your brains, but I cannot see your mind because your mind is invisible. That's your universe, where every human walking this earth, I told you there's 8 billion humans of all races, creeds, and colors walking this earth as human beings. Every human walking this earth lives in their own personal universe, okay? And from your universe, your personal universe, which is kept alive through that conduit of your pineal gland, kept alive from the air that you take in from your nostrils as connected to that pineal gland, that universe that you live in, you can create air. You create things from your universe. I, Walter Williams, created 2 books in my universe. Once, before I bought the books into physical being, these two books was in my universe in an invisible form. You could not read what I had in my universe until I brought it into its physical form and had it published. So, realize this. You, the human being, whether you're male or female, live in your own personal universe. From your own personal universe, you can create things. And if you look around you, no matter what and where you are at this moment, you will see things around you, such as I'm in my library now. I can see books. I can see bookshelves. I can see chairs. I can see a sofa in here. I can see rugs. I can see my desk. I can see lamps. I can see things that's in this room. But everything in this room was once invisible. It was in someone's mind, you see? Until they brought out what was in their universe, which is their mind, these things didn't exist. So, to say that is for you to realize this. Everything that you see around you is dead, physically dead. The rug on the floor came from the creation of a human's mind, whether it's male or female. It's dead. The chairs are dead. My desk is dead. The sofa that I'm sitting on now is dead. The book cases in here are dead. All the books on there are dead until I open up the books and start reading the book, and I can make what I'm reading alive if I believe it. You see? So I'm saying that to say this. A man singularly cannot create anything with life in it. Remember that. A female singularly cannot create anything with life in it. The only way that pro-life can come into this world is by a man and a woman having sex. And the male releases that sperm that the female's egg receives and starts the 9 months of incubation and progress for the human being to come out at the end of the 9 months. So these are the things that you have to realize what's going on around you. And it's continuing to go around you at this very moment that you and I, that you're listening to me and I'm talking. It's a continued formation. So you have to really understand that in order for you to begin to evolve. Now, getting back to ancient Egypt and getting back to religion of Christianity that Brother Tarhaka was talking about, it was your Melkite Coptic Egyptians who created Christianity, Christ, and the Virgin Mary for the European. It wasn't created for us as an African people. Okay? We had our deities in our own society and culture in ancient Egypt, but the European wanted to be part of our society, and he wanted to be made into a god. And our ancestors, ancient Egyptians, did not race mix, but he wanted to be made part of our society, and he wanted to be made into a god. So with that in mind, he terrorized our ancestors over there. Those are the Melkite Coptic Egyptians who ran the government of ancient Egypt. They're the ones that created this Christ for him. Okay? And again, one day this year, I'll give the history and origin of how the Melkite Coptic Egyptians created this Christ image, this non-human Christ, and this non-human, the Virgin Mary, for the European. And I will give you last time I narrated that history, I was on there for 2.5 hours, which is a long narration. But anyway, it has to be told for you, the African, in the world today, in America and throughout the world, to understand what happened to our African ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, after the Greeks came into Egypt. Now, once we created this religion called Christianity and this Christ, this non-human called Christ, and this non-human called the Virgin Mary, when Christianity came into Europe, they changed it altogether. They got rid of the history and origin of Christianity. See? So when it got to Europe, they changed it altogether different. So today, as I speak, the world is getting European Christianity by way of the Europeans coming out with the Last Supper, with the stories attached to it. Now, who drew the Last Supper? Leonardo da Vinci. You see, with attached stories to it, Julius Iscariot and Peter betraying Jesus, and so forth and so on. These are stories attached to the Last Supper, picture painting. Now, those stories that's attached to it, my wife Arnetta brought to my attention one day. She said, those stories, Walter, were written by Desiderius Erasmus, who was a playwright of Europe. And Donna said, she's right. So those attached stories to the Last Supper, drawn by Leonardo da Vinci, with attached stories. Those attached stories was created by Desiderius Erasmus, a playwright of Europe. Desiderius Erasmus was the first human to propound the New Testament. He wrote the New Testament for the Roman Catholic Church, but that's a different subject. But anyway, so when to get rid of the real history of Christianity and the real people that created Christianity, they changed it and brought out the Last Supper with attached stories to it. Like I mentioned, a picture drawn by Leonardo da Vinci. Leonardo da Vinci also drew the Last Supper. And he also drew the crucifixion of Christ. The crucifixion of Christ also was drawn by Leonardo da Vinci with attached stories, and those stories again were created and written by Desiderius Erasmus, the playwright, who came out with the Novum Instrumentum in 1516. Okay, the Synoptic Gospels and so forth and so on. But you'll get that history when we come back again and bring you the history and origin of the Bible. So, and then Leonardo da Vinci drew Mary Magdalene, again with attached stories. That Mary Magdalene went to the tomb of Jesus after he was crucified and went to the tomb of Jesus. Upon approaching the tomb of Jesus, he saw a rock had been rolled back off of the tomb. She looked down in the tomb was empty, and Jesus had risen up to be with his Father God. And all that, those are attached stories. That's European Christianity as being used today as I speak. You don't get the true history of Christianity that was created for the European by our ancestors, the Melkite Coptic Egyptians, while under terror threat by the Greeks. Okay? So it's very important that you understand that. Also, we bring a subject called the chronology of ancient Egypt. The chronology of ancient Egypt is very important because the ancient Egyptians never wrote a chronology of themselves. They never wrote a chronology of themselves. It was the European who wrote that chronology of our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians. You see? So we bring that subject to the listening audience, that the first chronology of ancient Egypt comes straight out of the Bible, 1868, and it was connected to the Bible this way. They said, this first chronology of ancient Egypt, was produced in 1868, says the first Pharaoh, or the first king of Egypt, was Mesram. Now, who is Mesram? Mesram is the son of Ham in the Bible. Ham is the son of Noah in the Bible. Ham, Shem, and Japheth are the three sons of Noah in the Bible. Ham, Shem, and Japheth makes up the family and table of nations in the Bible. So Ham, they say, had four sons. Mesram, who changed his name to Egypt. Cush, who was the progenitor of the Cushites, who was the father of Nimrod. Nimrod was supposed to have built the Tower of Babel, and et cetera, et cetera. And then he had a third son named Punt. He had a fourth son named Canaan. So all those are biblical attachments, all biblical names. See? So that's your first chronology coming out of ancient Egypt, created by American academia. Okay, you have to understand that. Now, that chronology, they said, started at 2188 BC. 2188 BC. And the first Pharaoh was Mesram. And at the end of every dynasty that is presented in this chronology, and that you have read about in this particular chronology and in this book, they give you the Bible reference where you can find what you have just read that's in the Bible. You see? Then James Henry Bresley came out with his chronology of ancient Egypt in a book called A History of Egypt by James Henry Bresley, came out in 1905. He said that the first dynasty was 3400, which is a 13-year difference. 1,312-year difference in the two chronologies of 2188, which is the first one, and then the second one coming out of his book. He said the first king was Menes. Okay, and he listed as 3400, which is 1,312-year difference from the first one. Then the third chronology that I'm presenting comes out of a book written by Henry Frankfurt, Kingships and the Gods, that was produced in the early part of the 1940s. In his book, he says that the first king of Egypt was Norma Menes. He added Norma to the name Menes. And that chronology started in 3100, which is a 3-year difference than the one that was created by Bresley. See, so you have all this confusion out here. And then one has to realize that the ancient Egyptians never wrote a history of themselves. They never wrote no history of themselves. This is American academians are doing this. And I'm explaining to you who and what year they did it and how they bring all this confusion into ancient Egypt. And our ancestors never wrote a chronology of themselves or a history of themselves. You see? And I'll give you a fourth chronology. It comes straight out of the Bible. Now, creators of the Bible at one time collaborated with James Henry Breasted to give them this chronology that is in the Bible at this very moment that I'm speaking to you at this very moment. So this fourth chronology is coming out of the Bible. You see? So that carries a different beginning date for ancient Egypt. They said 1700 BC. You see all these different dates, all this confusion out here. I'm bringing it to you. I'm bringing you the confusion, and I'm trying to bring you the truth that parallels the confusion. And then I have another chronology that was produced by George Rawlinson in the year of 1875. In his book, A History of Ancient Egypt, he said what I've been saying for years, that the ancient Egyptians never wrote a history of themselves. Never wrote a chronology of themselves. See, so we bring all that out on this program, Chronologies of Ancient Egypt, Exposed. See? So we're bringing information that is vitally needed in our community. You see? Now, you got out here different books on the history and the chronology of ancient Egypt, produced by different scholars around the world. You got a chronology produced by Adolf Ehrman, who came out with a history of ancient Egypt. A grammatical history of ancient Egypt. In his first book that he produced in 1880, called the Grammatical Dictionary of the Hieroglyphs. The Grammatical Dictionary of the Hieroglyphs. So in 1880, he produced that. 1925, they revised it. In 1934, they revised it again. So that's out there. You got to also understand that it was the Germans who first brought to the world's attention about ancient Egypt. Because the Germans, Carl Richard Lepsius, who's the teacher of Adolf Ehrman. Adolf Ehrman was the teacher of James Henry Breasted, and so forth and so on. And then you got E.A. Wallace Budge out there with the book called The Coming Forth by Day and Night, the Book of the Dead. It came out in 1890 and 99, so forth and so on. Then you got a book out there called The Grammar of Ancient Egypt by Gardner. So you got all these books out there written about different people to bring all this confusion into the world. You got Sir Flinders Petrie, who put his 2 cents in. You got Brogg, who put his 2 cents in. You got these Germans out there who put their 2 cents in. And you got James Henry Breasted, who from the University of Chicago, putting his 2 cents in. And you got American academia putting their 2 cents in. But in the meantime, the ancient Egyptians, our ancestors, Africans, never wrote a chronology of themselves or a history of themselves. But these Europeans has created a history and a chronology of our ancestors so they can control it in their American and Western academia, into the universities and colleges around the world and throughout the world and throughout America. So these are some of the things that I want you to really understand, because these are some of the subjects right here on this show, Sister Tarhaka Monreal Bay's program that we're on at this very moment. Brother Tarhaka?
Okay, Dr. William, fantastic, and I thank you so much for putting out that information. Ladies and gentlemen, let me remind you that the number to dial into this broadcast is 319-527-6084, and press 1 on your phone. That'll give us an indication. I see we got a caller with his hand raised. That area code 312. I'm going to open up the line. Area code 312, you're on the air.
Greetings. Brother Tarhaka, Monte L. Bay. This is Brother Yoel saying greetings to you and Professor Walter Williams and the listening audience. So I just wanted to know that I've been listening and whatnot since the beginning there, and once again you helping everybody that if they want to know, y'all helping them to know what they do not know, you know, or at least opening them up to something more than what they know right now, you know. But I noticed that when in my years in the store, and y'all, for those who don't know, well, before I say that, let me say thanks to those brothers and sisters who have listened to this program and who have contacted me and ordered some books. You know, I said, so I thank those people who done that and followed up and did what Professor William asked them to do if they were interested in his books and all of that, and they keep selling out. So I'm all out right now, Doc.
Okay, well, I have to bring you some more there, my brother. This is Brother Yoel, the one I spoke to you, the listening audience about a little while back. That he's the owner and founder of the Underground Bookstore in Chicago. That's where you can purchase. That's one place where you can order and purchase my book. He's one of my distributors. So anyway, that's Brother Yoel. This is Brother Yoel from Chicago,
yes, sir,
Illinois, and the owner of the Underground Bookstore. So go ahead.
Sir.
And Brother Tarhaka, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this, Brother Tarhaka. You are coming across in spots kind of muted. It's not clear.
Kind of muted?
Yeah, you're coming across muted, like you fading out in spots and stuff like that. And so if you can maybe clear that up, I just want to bring that to your attention. But go ahead, Brother Yoel.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say, in all my years being in the business, I've noticed something that Tarhaka started out with in the beginning, in talking about religion and its creation, and you chimed in. You also spoke about it. What I've seen is that, in being in the bookstore for 30 years, that most people who are in a box that I would say that is whatever religion they in that box, they seem to stay in that box. They don't seem to venture out of that box. Very few of them, I would say probably 10% of them may come out of that box and come in here looking for something. Though they may be Christian, they may be looking for something on history or some other things and stuff like that. Or if they're in Islam, they come in here looking for basically some books on Islam, and very few, like I said, about 10% of them might venture outside of that and reading something more than what the religion that they're in, and that kind of limits them, like you said, as control them also. And I don't know if it's fear or what, but they will not venture out of those boxes.
Right.
That's all.
Well, religion carries side effects. The first side effect is confusion. An individual is confused because the religion does not allow him to think or her to think. That's confusion. The religion does not allow them to understand about their own personal humanity. That's confusion. The religion does not allow them to grow or to evolve. Okay? And the second side effect, the religion limits your thinking. It limits your thinking. You cannot think beyond what the religion have taught you to believe in. You cannot go beyond that. And if you do, then you begin to think, and once you begin to think, you won't be a Christian or Muslim or Black Hebrew Israelite or Jew anymore, because you're thinking now. You're asking questions. And when you go to church, you don't have to ask questions because you come in there with your belief. You see? So the second side effect is it limits your thinking. The third side effect is animation. When these holidays come about, such as Easter, Christmas, etc., etc., and they tell you stories connected to these different religious holidays, begin to see through your imagination what has been taught to you about these various religions. You see? So you begin to animate that. They told you that Jesus was crucified on the cross. And Reverend Chicken Wing started preaching to you about Jesus being on the cross, and he died and he was crucified. And you begin to see that. You begin to animate that in your mind. And that's very dangerous because it limits your thinking and it causes you to be confused. And the fourth side effect, like Brother Tarhaka said, is fear. They tell you if you don't believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, you're going to die and go to hell. That's fear. So they take you, the innocent human being who has been taught a religion by your parents or whoever raised you, to believe in these various religions at an early child developing age in your life. You see, like they told you about Santa Claus. There was a big fat white man in a red suit trimmed in white fur who has a sleigh of toys on there, driven by reindeers in the sky, that he's going to come on Christmas night while you sleep now and come down the chimney and bring toys to you so you can find them the next day when you wake up and go into your living room, dining room, wherever your mother and father created this lie and this Christmas tree for you, and you put your toys there. But one day, as you grew up, you went and found the toys before Christmas. You went into the closet, under the bed, wherever you found them. And at that point, when you found your toys, at that point, this is all in your growth, you knew that your mother and father were Santa Claus, that there was no Santa Claus, that there was no big fat white man in a red suit trimmed in white fur riding in the sky that's going to come down the chimney and bring toys to you. You knew that. See? So the day has come for all Christians and all people who believe in a religion to find out that these religions is just like you finding there was no Santa Claus. The day, as I speak on this program, there's no Jesus Christ. There's no Prophet Muhammad. There's no Abraham, Isaac, or Jacob. There's no Yahweh. There's no Jehovah. There's nothing of any characters that's attached to these religions that are real. They're all man-made. So the day has come for you to find that out. And once you find that out, you begin to evolve. You begin to grow. And that's what this program is all about, growth. We have to grow. So what Brother Tarhaka have told you is true. What Yoel has revealed to you is true. So therefore, I'll turn this back over to you, Brother Tarhaka, Brother Yoel.
Okay. Brother Yoel, I want to, before we get started with you, I want to look at this thing from another perspective. I've done a lot of research, well, pretty much in my early years, on the operation of the brain and advertisement and marketing and stuff. The way advertisement works is, if you we're going to say a billboard advertisement, photographs, everything that you see in this world, and a lot of this stuff we learned in school. They showed you how the eye look if you took up science classes and biology and stuff like that. They show you how you look at something with your eyes, and the image is upside down and it's transferred right side up by the brain and so on and so forth. Well, everything that you see, your brain uses your eyes as lens to take a series of photographs of that object or whatever it is that you're looking at, and it files it away in your mind. You can look at something for quite a while and then close your eyes, and then you can bring up that image right there in your mind. Well, just imagine when you go inside a place of employment, those people who
You're fading, Brother Tarhaka.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, keep it like that, because otherwise you're fading.
All right. When you go in, for those people who work on jobs, because I've been on jobs where we had, I would say 95%, probably 98% of the workforce is people who look like me. But every image on the wall, if it's a safety image, if it had anything to do with a person, it was the image of European. If it had something to do with washing your hand and white hands, if it had something to do with safety, it's a white guy, his image is everywhere because they understand the workings of the brain. Now, the reason I want to bring that information out because there was one major saying throughout the entire land of Egypt and North Africa, and that is, man, know thyself. And part of knowing yourself is understanding how your brain operates. And you know that inside your environment, as long as you're in there, you're looking around in there, your brain is steady taking a series of photographs of the images on the wall. And Brother Yoel, you was talking about the people being in the box. Well, once they get inside the church and there are images in that church, the European images and stuff, and white Jesus on the wall, even though a lot of people have tried to change it, it's still devastating if they deal with religion because it's still being filed away by the brain. Everything you taste, everything you see, everything you hear, everything you feel is filed away by the brain. So what we have to do is get control, and we're talking about resurrecting the minds of ourselves and our people to ancient Egypt. It's imperative for us to know something about it. You might want to go ahead and put you some images in there for your brain, take some photographs of, and get you some literature that we're talking about here this evening. And just pay attention where you go. If you go inside the courthouse, what images are on them? What do you see? If you go to your place of employment, as you go out your daily work and your daily day, look around. Because it stands to reason that if you got 75% of your workforce of people who look like me, why there are no images on the wall of me? Why there are only images of the little small handful of Europeans that's running the company? Why there are no images of me? I mean, I'm doing all the work, so why can't I look around and see an image of me? And I just want to put that information out, because we are talking about part two, the resurrection of ancient Egypt and having knowledge of self and stuff. Brother Yoel, you want to weigh in on some of this stuff, man?
Well, I think you pretty much covered it all. I think that's probably you just described pretty much everybody's experience, and they made no apologies for that either. And they still tend to do that right now. Like, for instance, there are TV programs and movies that are made right now that there ain't no black people in them or Hispanics in them. In some of the movies, they all white people in it. So if they know what they're doing, we tend to be apologetic because from the bookstore standpoint, I see black folks who are writing books, they tend to want to be multicultural. If they're writing a children's book, they put a little white child in there somewhere. I'm like, why do you feel the need to put a little white child in the book? For what? They don't apologize for giving you a book with all whites in it, but we tend to do that. You know, okay. I just be trying to critique them and think about what they're doing. Or guess what? One other one they would do, they would put a little light-skinned child on the front cover instead of a little dark-skinned child. I'm like,
exactly.
Okay.
It's all psychological.
Yes. So it's a serious psychological problem too, and it's one that sometimes they need a lot of help from coming out of.
Yeah. Can I interject this? Or may I say this? Sister Emma on the line. Come in, Sister Emma, and make some comments.
All she had to do is press 1 on the phone, and I can know where she at. Sister
Emma, come on the line.
Okay, there she go. Area code 415. You on the air. Come on in, Sister McGowan. You on the air.
You gentlemen was doing such a good job. I was just listening.
Well, you come on in. We're in on some of this here.
Okay, let her talk. Give us the floor.
Well, all you guys said was true. I mean, it is. It's a mind game. And and we've been played, okay? I mean, that's what they said, what you believe, that's what you perceive. So, it's not as complicated as people make it. We've given our minds up so long for the BS that we need to just change. It's just that simple. Because what they
I agree with you 100%.
Let her talk without comments. Go ahead, Emma.
I'm running the show, Dr. Williams. I'm running my show. I got it, man. I got it. Go ahead, Sister McGowan. Go ahead, Joel.
Hey, you saw what your president did to get the mobs up there. To get the thugs up there trying to kill people. You saw exactly what he did. And that's a good example. If you keep hearing something, you will end up believing it. Because you're not thinking. Exactly like Dr. Williams said. You're not thinking. You just receiving. It's like you are so powerful that you're afraid of yourself a lot of times. Because, number one, I tell people all the time, I say, you don't even have to think about your heartbeat. That's given. It's going to beat whether you tell it to beat or not, and you don't tell it to beat. You don't tell yourself to breathe. Your body does it automatically. Just think if you had to think about that and the way you think about other things. We wouldn't live probably past 5 or 6. But we don't have to think about that. The other mess we don't think about either. It's almost automatic. If somebody keeps saying it, we accept it as truth. I mean, really, you can't. It's like going into a courtroom. You can't go in there and say you believe something. You got to come with the facts. You got to prove it with the facts. So when people say, "Well, here's what I believe," that's not fact. And they keep us in the lower parts of our body where we don't think. Okay, that's where our minds is most of the time. TV, everything is sexy. When do you talk about the heart? That's where the compassion, that's where the love is. But we don't talk about that. We keep us down below in the first and second chakra, your energy centers. But they keep us there. Never go past that. If you watch TV in the commercials, very seldom do they go there. See, people give their power to money. They give it to the president. They give it to the politicians. But what about yours? You have it. We just need to understand it and use it, and that's understanding yourself. Because you can bring anything you want to fruition. You don't have to wait till somebody give it to you or bring it to you or buy it. You can. Everything is a thought before it becomes a thing. Everything. I don't care what it is. It is a thought, and you can think up what you want, and it'll come into fruition. That means it'll come to be. But you got to think about it. You got to bring it forth. But once you give it to the money, you give it to the politicians, then yours is depleted. Because you keep looking outside of yourself for all the answers that you need. But you don't need to do that. When you say, a lot of times you think about something later and you say, man, I should have followed my first mind. That's your intuition. That is your spiritual mind. That's the mind you should always, because it'll never let you down. But that intellect will always let you down most of the time. Think about it. I think that's all I have to say right now.
Okay.
That was great, Emma. Really great.
Okay.
Now, Brother Joel, you were telling us about the people that...
Brother Tarhaka stating...
You was telling us about the people that come in the bookstore. Tell us about some of your experiences with some of the people. Are you talking about the authors of these books that had the images on them?
No, I'm referring to customers, period. The regular average customer who walks in the store. If they're in a religion, basically they stay in that box, and they don't very seldom go outside of that box. Very seldom does any of them who are, maybe if they Christian or into Islam, they stay in those boxes. Maybe 10% of those people who are in the religion has come in the door that's in a religion venture outside of that box. Most Christians may, if they venture outside of it, they'll go into a little history maybe, but they don't go too far into looking at anything much more than that. So they are controlled, and I tell you something, that the more and more Professor Williams say who we are and who we descendants are, I don't think they really wrapping that around their minds. When you say that, what else comes with that? Just saying that. The power of who you are and what your ancestors did and accomplished is in you. You can do that. You come from that great people. So that's something that comes along with that I don't think people talk about, because they still marvel over what you created physically on this earth, these pyramids and all the other structures that you build and stuff like this, that they still hide from us. But that's the outside physical structures that you build. But the mindset of these people are, you talk about, you thinking about Imhotep and how he thought, what he thought. You have the ability to do that because you come from that lineage, people. Okay? That's a powerful thing there, to know that you come from a people like that, and you can't think out of the side of a little box right now. That's a long fall from, like I said before, kings and queens to dope fiends and pharaohs to Negroes. And I mean mentally, that's a long drop there, a long fall. And we have to get back to that, and first of all, recognize it. And if they hear what you're saying and they hear and investigate what you're saying, they have everything they possessed back in that day, you possess it in this day. You need to start. We just need to start, as Khalid Muhammad used to say, have a checkup from the neck up,
But sometimes, we let other people define who we are, though. I mean, we really do. We do not define ourselves. We let other people define who we are. Mm-hmm. And most people accept that as who they are. Okay? And if somebody, the way society is set up, if the Europeans define you They are not going to put you nowhere near them. They're going to always have you not at their foot, under their foot. Okay? It's not going to happen. So people have to realize you have to define who you are and what you want to be. You can even call on your ancestors. But those people would think that's stupid. But it's not, because then you'll begin to vibrate to it. Not even just calling on your ancestors. But most people, we're taught away from that. We're not taught who we really are, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are none of that. We are not black. We're not. I mean, we call ourselves black. Why do we call ourselves black? We call ourselves Negroes. We call ourselves everything somebody else has told us we are. I mean, really do. I mean, that's the way I see it, and that's really the way it is. Now we're African American. Okay, so we saw so many things we don't even know. But we got to know who we are, even as individuals, as a group. We got to go back to the drawing board and figure out who we want to be, not what somebody else wants us to be.
Okay, Susan McGowan, I have a question for you. Can you describe for us the definition of Stockholm Syndrome? You know what that is?
Yeah. Yes. And we got plenty of that. Well, that's when you follow. It's almost like following the enemy, but yet you don't realize that's your enemy in a way. Putting it simple.
Okay.
That's how I think about it.
And okay, now what about the term narcissism?
Oh, well.
Narcissist individual.
Oh, that's supposed to be people just involved with like Trump. He's a good example. That's. I mean, everybody been seeing him for the last 4 years. That's a very good example, in my mind, of a person that's narcissistic.
And the reason I'm asking these questions because we got these kind of individuals among us, and because I've had a sit down, had a guy. He called me. He asked me what I'm doing. I said, I'm sitting out here. I'm relaxing. My mind is at ease. I've done all the work I need to do on my computer. I'm sitting out in the front yard in the sun. I'm listening to some nice, relaxing R&B music.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he wants to come over to the house because he was not in agreement with what I had told him about religion and what my position is and the culture and stuff. And he refused to allow me to go and bring the facts and put it on the table to end the argument. So what he does is he comes over to the house, pulls up in front of the house, opens his door, and put his foot in the window of his truck and sit there with the window rolled down and door open, facing across the street because the church is going on over there. And he tells me, well, I just want to listen to what the pastors had to say. Now, to me, that is a severe case of narcissism. Right there. Never seen anything like it.
Well, you can call it that, but it's not like a case of ignorance.
Oh, yeah. You got that going, too. But we got a lot of conditions, and Brother Yoel, you was talking about earlier. Was it you, Dr. Williams? No, it was Brother Yoel. You was saying that side effects. Who's that was talking about the side effects?
Me, Marshall Williams.
Oh, okay. All right. And I found out that a lot of our people have side effects involving certain. They seem to be afraid of the truth. They don't know the truth. Not only do they not know the truth, they don't want to know the truth. But at the same time, somebody else that don't look like me, a European, can come around and tell them the same identical truth
that I told them, and they'll be open to it.
Oh, I heard a lot of black people say something was true because a white person said it. I heard that a lot, you know, because what basically we had done is we become white people in black skin. That's it.
I agree with you. You got a lot of them out there. Matter of fact, I've had more problems out of them than I've actually had out of Europeans. No problem. Go ahead.
I made the point. That's what I said. We just black people with a white mind.
Yeah. Let me give you a good example of what you just brought up, Tarhaka, with the Stockholm syndrome. Did y'all ever see the skit that Dave Chappelle did where he played a black man who was blind who thought he was a Klansman?
Yeah, I saw that.
Did y'all see that?
No, but I can imagine.
Okay, well anyway, he did a skit where this blind black man thought he was white, and he was agreeing with all other white folks. His wife was white, and he was saying he was saying everything that white folks said, kill the niggers. Yeah, I can't stand niggers, and all that kind of stuff. Well, he did all of that. But now that skit was just something he did 2-3 years ago. But they found last year in the flesh, in the South, Dave Chappelle's skit in full life and in color. Okay, when they were doing all of that demonstration all over the country and whatnot, somewhere down in either Alabama or let's see, was it Alabama or Georgia? They found this news reporter found a black man who was dressed in a Confederate flag cap and shirt, and she asked him what did he thought about these people coming here to try to take down this flag. He said, I hope they don't do that, because I don't see there's no problem. That flag ain't hurt anyone. My grandfather, who was white, and all of my sisters and brothers I was raised with that were white, my grandfather taught us all about this flag. I know everything I know. My grandfather taught us about this flag. So I hope they don't do that, because that flag ain't bothering nobody. It ain't said nothing to nobody. Ain't harmed nobody. So I hope that doesn't happen. And I'm gonna make sure I try to stop anybody from doing that. I said, now that guy was
wow.
He was. Look, I know unless that town he lives in is so small that they know that's the nigga that was raised by white family or something. I know he got them discriminated against, and he was too dark to be otherwise living in the South. Okay, but that man believed he was not going to take down his Confederate flag.
Was he physically blind, or he was just blind?
No, this guy was not blind at all. He had both eyes and see.
No, he didn't. He had both eyes, but he wasn't seeing nothing.
Yeah, well, right. He was spiritually blind. Yeah, he was. So how does something like that happen? Is we have to ask ourselves, how do you align yourself with your captor like that, and you become a part of him, an extension of him?
Well, repeat.
Well, that's what I brought out the point earlier about in easy to say, man, know thyself, or woman, know thyself. We don't. One thing that I know that we do, because I'm in study and research every single day. And to the point, some days, like the past couple of days, I just say, look, I'm not even going in there and get on the computer, period. I'm not going in there because I got books all on the table. I got to get these things, put them up. I just put some of them up. I got to put the rest of them up. But I'm doing research and engaging in reading, writing, arithmetic on a daily basis
And but starting from 2021, it's a whole brand new day. What I went through in 2020, that's over. Head's gonna be rolling. But what you have to do is you have to constantly strengthen your mind and strengthen your confidence, and to be conscious, totally conscious of the man or woman in the mirror. And I've been talking about that with brothers here lately, dealing with the man in the mirror. We want to go on what's being stated on television, or go on what's been stated on the cell phone. We're on YouTube and all this stuff. But when are we going to strengthen our own brains and strengthen our own confidence, take total charge and total control of our own destiny? Because John Henry Clark said that your enemies cannot afford to educate you. Because if they do that, you won't ask them for freedom, justice, and equality anymore. You'll take it. So I try to encourage the brothers and sisters to do your own research. Because a lot of times I'm talking to them, they say, well, you know, have you ever heard of so-and-so and so-and-so? And I say, well, either yes or no. Well, he said so-and-so. And my question to you is, well, did you verify that? Or what kind of research have you done in regards to what anybody said? And what that does is that strengthens you, and you have some facts to lay on the table as well. But it all has to do with us dealing with the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror, and strengthening your own character moving forward and getting out of the box and operating out of the box. I asked a lot of folks, I said, well, what's your plan for this summer, 2021? What you going to do this summer? What's your plan? What you got on paper? What you going to be doing? And, well, I haven't made any plans yet, but I'm pretty much, it's going to be different than it was last year. Well, where you playing at? What you got? What you doing? How much time you investing in preparing yourself for what's coming up in the future that you're going to deal with, that you're going to take charge of? What you doing? And I think they stay in the box because they're refusing to deal with the man in the mirror. They're slacking. They're listening to what you're saying, and a lot of it's going in one ear and out the other. They're trying to remember what's being stated on a 3-hour broadcast. It's in you. It went in your ears, it's in your brain. But what percentage of it are you going to act upon? Why don't we do some research on what's being stated? Why don't we strengthen our position by actually doing some research? I just wanted to add that little point there. Before we go on, y'all, I'm going to take a little quick break, and when we come back, then we can carry on, because I got some more points I want to, some more questions I want to ask. Okay? Y'all hold on a minute.
Or anything that non-white people do, that's the way you look at it, that is of constructive value. I tell people, anytime you're doing anything of constructive value, you're hurting the system of white supremacy, because no person of color is supposed to do or say anything that makes sense. I mean, so anytime any people who have color in their skin do anything that has constructive results, something beneficial that helps people to think constructively or to act constructively rather than non-constructively, you are hurting the system of white supremacy. The white supremacists want the entire world of people of color to always do stupid things. And many people of color, black people in the Northwestern Hemisphere, under the system of white supremacy, we are taught to worship anything that's stupid. Just go and find something stupid to do and do as much of it as we possibly can do and walk around bragging about it. All right? That's how we have been taught. We're systematically taught to do that. And in a school, I mean, the young male or female who is black in an all-black school is kind of ridiculed, I have heard. Because I have certainly witnessed it, and not as much as in the old days when I was coming up. People were more constructive than I understand that they are now.
Yes.
Then in a lot of the schools, you can't learn anything of constructive value because the person who is trying to learn something and do something of constructive value is ridiculed, and by the other students who want to do something that doesn't make sense at all. Now, they didn't get that naturally. That's something that's been taught to them indirectly by the white supremacists. And the answer to the person who asked that question about the rise of people who are of people of color, who are trying to do something more and more of constructive value, learn how to build a locomotive, learn how to plant better crops, learn how to go into the ground and come up with an irrigation system where they can have clean water and whatnot. The white supremacists don't want that. They want control of all of that. Anything of constructive value, they want control of it. Oil, tin, gold, anything that might be used constructively. They want to keep control of that. They don't want non-white people anywhere to have control of anything that makes sense. But anything that's a bunch of garbage, anything that fills a person's mind with garbage, if that person is black, the white supremacists are all for that. I mean, nothing but just open the top of a black person's head and just pour garbage in, this non-stop garbage, and then put the cap on it and have them walking around doing garbage stuff all of their entire existence until the white supremacists come around and beat them over the head and make them do something for the system of white supremacy that makes sense. Now, they will help a black person do something that's going to help the system of white supremacy. But the minute you do that, or not doing that rather, if you're black on this planet, the minute that the white supremacists turn you loose from doing something constructive for them, then they want you to go off and do something that's non-constructive for yourself. And we just see that in little things like, as far back as you can remember. Like I alluded to earlier in this program. You can come on a job, and on that job you're doing something constructive that the white supremacists want you to do. You're building things, you're repairing things, you're cleaning things. And the white supremacists want that. It makes them comfortable. And it makes you comfortable, all right, if you're a person of color. But the minute the white supremacists say, okay, you can go now and do some of the things, that you want to do. But they have us trained that when we leave their presence, we immediately start doing what? Like in the old days, like I said earlier in this program. Get off the job and do what? Go right down the street to the whiskey store. Buy some whiskey. That's what we used to do in the old days. And get what? Drunk. Yeah, do something stupid. And if you're half drunk, go and stab somebody, shoot somebody of color right there in your own neighborhood. And the only time you stop doing it is when the white supremacists said, okay, that's enough of that now. I mean, Saturday and Sunday, we gave you time to do all that stupid stuff. Now, this is Monday, you come back and start doing something constructive for me.
Yes, sir.
Not for you, but for me. But when you're off on your own, make sure that whatever you do when you're around your cousins and your so-called friends and your neighborhood, I mean, you go out and do your gang banging then and all like that. Do a whole bunch of stupid stuff wherever you are.
Yes, sir.
But when you come over on this side of town where I am, that's the only time in your entire existence that you do something that makes sense. And let's keep it that way.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. I'm opening up the phone lines here. The number to dial into this broadcast is 319-527-6084.
press 1 on your phone. That'll give us an indication that you have something to say. Sister McGowan, was that you? Let's see. No, it's Brother Yoel. Brother Yoel, you know what? Are you with me?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
okay,
sir.
Okay, now, you talking about the guy down south, but a lot of times late at night, starting about 1 o'clock in the morning, they have this radio broadcast come on, and I listen to it. And they got people that call into this broadcast. And for almost a year, I listened to this one guy that called into this broadcast, and for almost a year, I thought this guy was a European until he came out and told the host that, well, I am an African American, and I said, what? And I have, back when I was looking at regular TV, they were showing these guys out west, these ranchers and farmers and brothers out west. The brothers chewing tobacco, and they sound just like Europeans. I'm like, what do you think causes that? Dr. William, what do you think about that?
Well, that's come from not knowing who they are, who their ancestors are. They have no connection to any base foundation other than what they have been taught by the European system in America. So when you are void of not knowing who your ancestors are and who you are, because if you know who your ancestors are, that gives you understanding of who you are as a human being and as a person where you fit in the racial equation in the world. So without you knowing that, devoid of that knowledge in your understanding, your thinking, then you take on the traits of the society where you live and what's being presented to you in that society by way of the school system. So it starts in the school system and goes into the religious system, and it goes into the school system, and it goes into all ends up into white supremacy. Because the white race controls this earth and the people living therein as human beings. So for 2,353 years, with this year coming in, they have controlled this planet that we call Earth, and as a result, the Negro is the result of their control over this planet called Earth. But their time is up now. It is time for us to take back what was stolen from us. And the only way that you can do that is by understanding who your ancestors are. The world's first and oldest civilized people known in history as the ancient Egyptians, Africans. And knowing what happened to our ancestors, the ancient Egyptians, after the Greeks came into Egypt. You have to understand and study the discipline of history, starting with the world's first and oldest civilized people, the ancient Egyptians. If you don't start at that point, then you're going to miss the whole boat. So that is the reason why we act and think, react, and not think because we don't know who we are. And Brother Neely Fuller, who we just heard, spoke words of truth. But I never heard Neely Fuller zero in on the symbol and the icon of white supremacy. And that's a dead white man on that cross called Jesus the Christ. I never heard him say that. I never heard Dr. Francis Cress Wilson say anything about that. See? And so that's what I have to say about that. It's because the lack of understanding who we are by way of knowing who our ancestors are. If you don't know who your ancestors are, you have no base to launch your thoughts on. So it's very crucial, very important that we know who we are, know who our ancestors are. That's the reason why we act and think the way we do, because we've been trained by Western academia not to think, and we've been taught away from our ancestors as being the ancient Egyptians, and us being descendants of the ancient Egyptians. So therefore they can keep white supremacy alive. But the moment, like I said before, when you tell the world who you are and who your ancestors are, which being the African ancient Egyptians, then white supremacy is over with. So that's what I have to say about that, Brother Tarhaka.
So I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question. The thing, what I'm saying is sometimes we go from ancient Egyptian, and then we go from slavery to ancient Egyptian. But I think sometimes what we forget, there was a lot of progress in between there, in the sense that when we talk about burning down certain areas, like in Oklahoma and stuff like that, but we don't really talk about what leads up to that, and most people don't even realize that there was such thing as Reconstruction before there was Jim Crow. Because I had an argument with some people, but I stopped arguing because I'm saying they really don't know. And the thing, I think sometimes we need to bring that back where we had the communities and stuff. I grew up working in my sister's store when I was a young kid, and the black community was doing really well and stuff. I mean, some of them worked at the packing house, some of them did this, but most of them owned their own house and had a whole family, not a piece of a family. And I think a lot of that happened with the welfare, because the man couldn't live in a house if the woman got welfare. So she wanted to make sure she got that check every month, and sometimes they sneaked the man back in, but most of the time they would actually put him out for a few dollars. So it kind of destroyed the family. But when I was growing up in East St. Louis, most of the people I knew was a complete family. And I mean mother, father, and children. So, and I think sometimes we forget about the Reconstruction part, that we went to Congress, we did all of those things. That's when Jim Crow came in. So I'd like to hear more about that, and maybe we can get to ancient Egyptians, knowing that history is not that far away. Because the school, most of the time when I was in school, especially in the grade school and high school, they only taught that possibility of two people. And most of the stuff was about war, and they made war heroes out of the white people. So it was about fighting and destruction then. So what I'm saying is we need to kind of if we can go back and reconstruct after the Civil War and doing the Reconstruction before the Jim Crow laws began to pass. It wasn't always from slavery to Jim Crow. Jim Crow had a process too, because it showed what we were capable of doing and was doing it. But somehow it seemed like most people missed that. Because in history books, in school, it's mostly you have about a paragraph, and most of it's saying you a slave, and most of like I said, the heroes are white. So there's a way of putting in your mind that that's all you can ever be. Is only the white people could be the hero, and you can never be that. And George Washington and Booker T, whatever, they were the exception, but they were only 2 or 3 people. They didn't really teach you a lot about Frederick Douglass in the high school. When they talked about ancient Egypt, they never said that they were Africans. You assumed, and they made you believe that they was white people, okay? So we got a lot of cleaning up. Get here, you know what I mean? We got a lot to clean up first, because it's hard for people to believe that they get great when all your life you've been told how terrible you are.
Well, see, Sister Emma, you have you're going to have to go back to the beginning, go back to the first civilized people on earth who were Africans, known in history as the ancient Egyptians. That's your foundation. Hold it now. That's your foundation. Before you can get to slavery, you got to use the discipline of history and travel the route of the discipline of history, starting with ancient Egypt, and then come up through that route into America, where slavery started in 1619 for the enslavement of the ancient Egyptian descendants. See, you can't start there. You can't start with slavery without and leave out ancient Egypt. That's your foundation.
Oh, no.
So I agree with what you said about slavery and about what needs to be taught during for that time. That's good. There's nothing wrong with that. But you got to start.
But what I'm saying too, Walter, I'm not saying that they should not say about Egypt. You can keep saying it. I understand that, and I'm not disputing that. That's not my dispute at all. But it is hard for most people to imagine when they've been told something else. And let me just say this: when you constantly been in school to say that basically everything that you was a slave, I'm saying even before then, you after slavery, because Reconstruction was after slavery. And I'm saying maybe if you get to that point, that's one of the points. You can get that back to Egypt. You can always talk about Egypt. But you got to find a way for people to get there. They got to be deprogrammed to get there.
Well, you have to start with ancient Egypt, the world's first and civilized people on planet Earth. That's where you start, Emma. That's your foundation. Then you can build up. On that foundation, you can build a building. All buildings are built and have a foundation. The foundation will enable that building for you to build a building on. So therefore, you cannot start with slavery. You cannot start there, Emma. You got to start.
I'm not saying that, Walter. I'm not saying that.
Well, then, what I'd like for you to hear you say is this: you have to start with ancient Egypt and use the discipline of history as a route to take you up to the time of slavery and Jim Crow and Reconstruction. That's
you don't
where you
have an argument. Okay, but you don't have an argument with me. But we know our history began somewhere else. But that's the history. If you're taught that all your life, for your first, let's say, 12 years, that is hard to overcome in a sense. And I'm saying that was something even in between those 12 years that you should know. And I'm not saying don't talk about ancient Egypt. That should be the first basis. You got to have a foundation. But you
that's what I wanted to hear you say. That's what I wanted to hear you say.
Well, I'm not disputing that.
I know you're not, but I want you to say that first. You're not disputing that. I know that.
Wait a minute. Wait now. You can't tell me what to say. Okay? I don't want to get in an argument with you, but you can't tell me what to say. Okay? That's my mind there. Okay? Now, that's how you would approach it. Then, if I approach it a little bit different, you have to respect that too, sir.
I do that.
Yeah, well, let's not argue about it. Let's just, you know what? Like you said, think. That's how I was thinking about it. Okay, we know ancient Egyptian. Look how long we've been in this position in this country. What is this year? When did slavery start? When did it end? Okay, well, look at the position we've been in all this time. And you're saying, okay, you go teach about ancient Egyptian. You go teach them away from religion. But if somebody grew up and they haven't been taught that, even in this country, I'm saying, hey, wait a minute. There's something even after you get to Egypt. You got to still come up to now. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, y'all, hold on, y'all. Hold on. We got another caller with his hand raised. Y'all hold on a minute. Let me bring in this new caller. Area code 314. You're on the air. Area code 314. Tell us who you are, where you calling from.
Tarhaka and Walter. This is Pianki.
Brother Pianki, my man.
Come on in, Pianki.
You know the thing about black male couldn't be in the house. People get that out of context. When a social worker came to the house where the lady is asking for aid, they have a formula that the amount that you get is determined on the number of able-bodied adults in the house. So, if she had a boyfriend or she had a husband, Now, I don't know about the husband. Well, she didn't count them because if she counted them, that means that you got two people there that's able-bodied. Therefore, the house would get less. That's where that came from. And you know the man was able because when he heard the knocking on the door, he jumped out the window.
Well, I heard in a different vein, Brother Piaki, without arguing. It was in the latter part of the 50s and through the 60s. The public aid was offered to women who had dependent children.
Right.
But they could get this aid if there was no man present in the house. So when the worker came to the home of the recipient, they look up under the bed and in the closets for men's clothing and shoes and so forth and so on. So the check was dependent on how many children they had, not how many males people living in that house, but how many children did they have. So that determined the size of their check. And then at that time, the white society, such as Reagan and other people who were presidents of this country, put out the story that this Negro was lazy. He would not take care of his family. So he wanted welfare to take care of his family. But in the meantime, he would not give our men jobs. Okay?
Right.
So therefore, he didn't give our men jobs on purpose so he could make that statement. You see?
Well, I don't know about the jobs.
Huh?
I don't know about the jobs, Walter.
I'm
telling you. So what happened what happened to a wife and a husband?
The wife and husband, they don't apply for welfare. They apply for if the man is not working, he gets his unemployment check. Okay.
Suppose his unemployment had ran out.
When that run out, then they get welfare.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It was dependent on able-bodied adults in the household. If your house was able, based on your children and other qualifications, you was able to get $200 a month with one adult. Well, if you got two adults there, they cut it down to what, $100 a month, because you got two able-bodied adults. Now, this thing about there's no written law, nothing written in context that said that you can't have a man in the house. The issue was.
Wait, Brother Piaki.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
The rules were that if you had able-bodied adults in the household, that determined how much money you would qualify for. So quite natural, the woman want to say, well, ain't nobody here but me, because it make her get more money per household.
Okay, I hear you. Now, let me tell you this. You're talking about two different. Wait now, hold on. Let me say this. You're talking about two different programs of welfare.
Right.
You're talking about ADC, Aid to Dependent Children.
Right.
That program.
Well, that wasn't around back in that time. Now.
What's that?
That wasn't around back in the early 60s.
I'm telling you now. ADC, Aid to Dependent Children, says that you cannot, the female cannot have a man in the house if she wants to get ADC, Aid to Dependent Children. She can have as many children as she wants to, and they'll give her a check according to the number of children that she has, and plus for herself. But it was called Aid to Dependent Children. Okay?
Right.
Now, what you're talking about is public aid, where a man and a wife who has no physical means of an income lost his job, his unemployment ran out, he can get on general assistance, okay? Right. And that's public welfare. That's two different programs. So we're talking about
it's still based on the able-bodied adults. I don't know about no ADC because that doesn't make sense either. Because if you got a household, the woman had 2 kids. Wait a minute, the woman had 2 kids. Then the man brings 2 kids in. Well, how you gonna do that? It's 4 kids in there, his and hers.
I'm telling you, you're talking about age to dependent children.
Right.
No man is supposed to be in the house. That's the reason why
but
welfare
suppose
worker comes in
his children.
in the closet and under the bed for men's clothes or shoes. If she finds that, then the woman is cut off.
Suppose it was his children and he wanted to be there with his kids.
Then the woman can't get ADC.
Well, what about the other 2 kids that's hers?
The man cannot be there if she's going to receive ADC. But if a man and a wife, like I mentioned before, are married or whatever the case might be, and they have a family, no matter how many children, that's public aid, general aid.
I understand. Let's go back to this ADC.
Okay.
You got a man, you got a male.
Wait, hold
2 children belong to the woman. 2 children belong to the woman by another marriage. This man comes in and he marries this woman. He brings his 2 children by another woman. Now, how in the heck they gonna tell the man he can't be there with his 2 children?
Here, brother. You told me that you don't know anything about ADC, right?
Well, you can read the law.
Yeah, you told me you didn't know anything about ADC, right?
No, as far as receiving it, no, I don't know nothing about it. I never received it, but I can read the law.
I'm talking about you receiving it. I'm talking about that.
I don't know anything about it. Let me re-clarify.
You know anything about
I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about it from being a recipient, but I have read the law.
Since you don't know anything about it, brother, I can't learn.
What do you want me to do? Go on welfare?
Let me help you in your learning. Can I chime in here?
Come on in, brother Yoel. Come on.
Okay.
But what you saying is not true.
No, not as far as based on your understanding, it is not true. But that's necessarily not true because I agree with him. The system was designed to separate families. It was never meant to unite families, not black families anyway. So that's the first thing. So in that time when they were doing that, when they put that system in place, they did not want that black male in that home. But at the same time across town, they had the white man on public assistance with his wife and children. Right. Okay, during that same time. We didn't know that, but that's how they were playing white folks versus black folks.
He might have been Tarhaka. Well, no, we don't know that. You don't know that. That's stipulation.
I do know that.
But how do you know what the man across town got?
I know because
let's put it like this.
I know white people across town, okay? I talk to white people across town. That's how I know.
Yeah, you talk to white people across town. Read the law.
Wait. Let me finish.
That's why some blacks don't get along.
Go back to that movie again.
Blacks is never going to unite because they can't get along on a discussion.
I ain't going to unite on
Well, I think you're lying.
Well, that's your problem.
Nobody said nobody no lying. Don't be go to call nobody.
I mean, just think about it.
Information here.
Yeah, but just think about it. A household, a number of kids in it, is good for X number of dollars with the mother. If you bring in a person, another adult, who is capable of working, then they going to cut it down. They do that today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, Bianchi, listen, man, we love you, but you are wrong, okay? You told us that you didn't know anything about ADC.
I tell you what, Tarhaka, have I got your email? I'll send you the law. I'll send you the rules and regulations on that thing.
And what state is it from?
What state is it? You said
no. All states are not the same in how they distribute the money. That's not true. What you say?
Well, I'm talking about as far as the aid that was coming from the state. I'm talking about the state of Missouri. What state? I'm talking about the state of. Now, if it's a federal program.
Black folks gotta die and they lucky.
Man, listen. This stuff about if it's a federal program, it applies to everyone.
No. That's not true what you're saying.
So you're saying if it's a federal program, it don't apply equally to everyone, every citizen in the country?
No, because
all
the
right,
state
okay.
has the right to distribute the way they want to. Now you read that law again, okay?
Okay.
You read it again. I know social workers.
State law don't trump federal law. We know that.
Well, they got
but
no
the thing that I'm saying, I'm gonna say it one more time.
Well,
the whole gist is that if you got able-bodied living people in a household, that household is gonna get less than if it was just one, i.e., the mother or the father.
Oh, let's end this conversation.
Yeah, let's end now.
Brother Pianki, let's end this conversation. Brother Pianki, we're going to end this conversation. And
it ain't going nowhere.
We ain't going nowhere. We're spinning now. Okay? You got. It's according to the state that you live in.
That's right.
Yeah, see, AGC, Age of Dependent Children, and then you got general public welfare coming from the county. Okay? So therefore, if you don't know anything about AGC, leave it alone, Brother Pianki.
Yeah, right, exactly.
He'll love you, my brother.
I don't. I know.
Okay?
I know one thing. People used to go out to California because they could get more welfare in California.
Well, you know, it's not all distributed the same. Now that goes right there to the states, just like I said. Okay, goodbye.
You know why? And we get more money in California because the living is higher in California than they are in Chicago.
Well, wait a minute. He said,
I don't know about that now.
Walter, that's not what he said. He said it's federal money and it all gets. He's just calling up to start some things.
No, what I'm going to do to sell this, I'm going to sell this. I'm going to send a copy of the law to Tarhaka, and he can disseminate it with you.
Oh, what state? What state?
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna look at the federal law, and I'm gonna look at look at one or two states. But I can't tell you nothing about welfare.
Yeah, okay, goodbye.
Well,
I can't tell you nothing about welfare. We never had none. I don't even qualify for stimulus.
Why
you? We weren't asking you about you. We were talking about the law.
Bianca, while you compiling your information, keep in mind that when they did do some movies, they do research and find out how the systems work. So when they created, let's just say that when they created the movie Claudine, for instance, back in the 60s, or those the 70s or something like that, whenever they created that movie, they did research into how well public welfare works. And the reason why James L. Jones wasn't going to go into that house, because he knew that public aid was going to cut them off of the public aid. They were going to lose something if he came in there. So, wait.
That's where it should have done.
Wait. But that was a part of how it worked back then in the system. It had a design to do that, to keep that man out of that house, and you would get paid. It's like, I don't need you.
Was she married to him?
No, she wasn't.
All right, then, well,
she was married to him or not.
If she had been married to him, I mean, they ain't gonna run no husband away from no father away from the kids.
A woman that had 8 children, okay? When he married them women and put them in a house, they got off the welfare because he could take care of them, okay? So I know that for firsthand.
Miss B, we had a lady in the neighborhood. Her name was Miss B. She had 20 kids.
Well, good for her.
20 kids. They all wasn't by the same man. But when her husband, one of her husbands came there, the amount that she got was less than if she had been by herself, because he was able-bodied.
Well, that was the whole point of breaking up the black family in the first place. Man, go on.
Well, y'all hold on a minute. We got another caller with his hand raised. Hold on a minute.
Yeah, good.
Let's go 347. Tell us who you are, where you calling from, what's your question and comment. 347.
Hey, how are you all? Thank you for taking my call. My name is Hotep, and I see Pianki is still spreading his coonery on every radio show. His position is usually to articulate what the white man tells him to say. Anything we say, he'll cut us off and tap dance and talk his stuff, but he's a distraction from intelligent. Hold on, Pianki, pull up your diaper. He's a distraction from empowering black people. I don't know if he's paid to do this or if he's just ignorant, but we need to shut him down and send him out to pasture with all the other coons.
Yeah, good. Come
But wait a minute now.
Well, what you just said is racist, man. But go ahead.
You probably on the welfare now.
Who are you, man? What'd you say your name is?
No, I said my name is Hotep, and I've heard Bianchi distracting people on black shows for years. This is all he does. We can't get a point out to discuss rationally without him tap dancing his coon ass into the room, talking stuff to make us look stupid.
Walter, how long have I known you? How long have I known you, Walter?
Hold on now. Now we don't treat people like that over here. So be
Look,
good
our
now.
people are suffering. If we can't call someone a coon, then fuck it. Our people are in pain. We don't have time to play.
Okay, area code 773.
Thank you, Tarhaka.
773. Okay, Dr. Williams. Where you at, Dr. Williams? Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Dr.
I'm here.
Williams,
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
I see your call had dropped. Now, we got 13 minutes, y'all, and it's time for us to shut this thing down. So, tell us about them books and give your last remarks. Keep in mind now, we got 13 minutes. Let's go. Start with you, Dr.
Okay,
Williams.
well, my two books I've written is The Historical Origin of Christianity. The thesis of the book is saying there's never been a man that have walked earth in human form or been a race, creed, or color by the name of Jesus Christ. That's right on the front cover. And my second book is called The Historical Origin of Islam. I'm saying that there's never been a man that ever walked earth in human form by his tradition by the name of the Prophet Muhammad. That's now, you can purchase these books at Brother Yoel's Underground Bookstore because he's one of my distributors of the book. And his phone number is area code 773-768-8869, 773-768-8869, or you can buy from your local bookstore in the area where you live, in the city of the area where you live. You can go to your local bookstore and order my books from there, or you can get on Amazon and order my books from there. Also, if you want to email me, if you want to talk to me, you can email me at ancientegyptian@msn.com. ancientegyptian@msn.com. And if you want to converse with me, after you email me, put your phone number there, and I'll call you back, and we can continue conversation by way of phone. So, again, those are my two books, and, again, that's how the places where you can buy them. Again, you want to contact me through my email, theancientegyptian@msn.com. So that's what I have to say, Brother Tarhaka.
All right. Come on in, Brother Yoel.
Okay.
Tell us about that underground bookstore.
All right. Well, again, as he said, I'm the owner of Underground Bookstore here in the Windy City, and I work at what I call now Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA headquarters here in Chicago, where you come collect all your information on your cultural heritage and all that kind of stuff. Not to be confused with the White House and CIA folks, okay, y'all? So I ain't saying that I'm no CIA agent, okay? But anyway, the email, you can also email me at theundergroundbookstore@gmail.com or undergroundbookstore1@gmail.com. Okay, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. If you want to order any books that you're looking for, whether they're hard to get or easy to get, doesn't matter. If you just want to support black business, give me a call at that number that he gave, which is 773-768-8869. And I'll get back to you, and we'll get you whatever you need. Thank you very much for the spirited conversation this evening, Tarhaka, and thanks to all the listening audience. Y'all have a good evening.
Well, I called myself bringing in the new year. Come on in, Emma.
Yeah.
Give us some last remarks.
I think that guy was talking about that man that came in talking about the welfare, but he didn't know what he was talking about, and I had to address that. So we should have just hung up on him and give him no say. I'm serious.
Well, let me get out. Hey, Tarhaka, do I have email because I got the man in the house rule right here, and I'm gonna email it to you.
Okay. We were
I got you.
Emma was closing out.
You got mine?
Well, that man needs to just shut
number.
up and go away. He already said he's
Listen, sir, let me tell you something. I don't need you for nothing.
Okay, I'm going.
So you just go ahead about your business, will you? You tell me what I need you for. Go ahead, Tarhaka.
Okay, we got to just send that there to Tarhaka57@gmail.com.
570. All right, I'll send this to you.
Okay,
57, okay.
Appreciate it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the close of our broadcast. I appreciate all you all for being on here. And until next time, keep in mind that we are going to be back on the air the last Sunday this month, which will be on the 31st of January. So we'll put the advertisement out, and y'all make sure y'all get in here and catch the broadcast. Okay? All right. Well, let me go down to this last plug right here. And
every black person on the planet who has been exposed to white supremacy, and the assumption is every black person on the planet has been, even when they haven't been in contact with white people directly. They've been exposed to the white culture indirectly. White culture is about white supremacy. Now, what does white supremacy do? It teaches people of color that if you are a male, you cannot be a man, period. Not in the system of white supremacy. And you're not going to be treated like a man, ever. Now, you can walk around and think that you're a man, but that's between you and you, strictly between you and yourself, because no white person has an obligation, if you're a black male, to treat you like you are a man. And it's logical simply because in the system of white supremacy, it's impossible for a black male to be a man. It doesn't make any difference how old he gets or what he knows or what kind of connections. That can't be done. I just start with myself. I'm not eligible, not qualified to be a man. Why? Because I was born in captivity, that's why. When you're in captivity, when you're a prisoner of war, you are strictly that and nothing else, a prisoner of war, a victim of white supremacy. And you don't have another title. You can give yourselves all kinds of titles, which is why black people love titles. We give ourselves all kinds of titles. We give each other all kinds of titles. Some titles, it's not as bad as it was in the old days. I say bad, if you want to use that word. But some people used to say professor, reverend, most high. I mean, before you ever get to a name, you would have about 40 titles. You know, when somebody introduces you, if you're supposed to be what you call a big shot Negro in the old days. This is not new. This goes way back. That struggle. Oh, I'd just love to be a man. I mean, what can it take? But by this generation, what you call the new millennia, most young black people have looked around. They have looked at the people that came before them who, since the 1960s, the white supremacists have done a rough job on black malehood. First of all, giving them an option that you can continue to be a big boy, or if you really want to get some material benefits, put on some gold slippers and skip around, and grin all the time and all like that, and have a little money in your pocket. Now you can be a black girl if you're a black male. You can be a black girl, but you cannot be a man. You will never be a man in the system of white supremacy. Now, they have put that in cement. They have written, or rather in steel, or whatever the hardest subject, a diamond. The white supremacists have put that philosophy out here since the 1970s. That's the benchmark that I give it. All over the world, and they're spreading it. They're saying, you're not going to be a man. You're a black male, and you think you're going to be a man on my watch? On my watch? This is the voice of the white supremacists now, racist man and racist woman. Say, that's not going to happen. Say, now, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and Elijah Muhammad and all that, they said that that's what they're going to make you out of. but it's not going to happen. Now, you can talk it, but you make any move to make that real, and you're going to wonder what fell on you. Now, they have made that clear to all of us, and the young black people have picked up that signal. And they say, well, if I can't be a man and I don't want to be like my sisters, I don't want to switch around all day looking for a male, and I pretend to be a female or try to switch over and be one, if they can operate on me and make me one, because then things become easier. I mean, I guess, I hope, but I definitely can't be a man because I'm in big trouble if I try to be. Then what can I be? Well, the white supremacist said, well, I'll give you another outside option. You can go around and pretend that you're a man by doing harm to other black people. That's cursing out black females, calling them names and all like that. Write songs about them where you call them all kinds of names and kick them all up and down the street. We don't care about that. Kick your mother up and down the street. I mean, we rejoice when we see you do that, okay? But if you start acting anything like you ask for respect from us, the white supremacists, boy, you're going to get dead real quick. Most black males, we know that because they teach us that in no uncertain terms. When we really start asserting ourselves and say, you're going to respect me as a man. And the white supremacist said, you tell that to other black people. But don't you get in my face ever, boy, and act like you're even thinking like that, dealing with me. Now, I'll play with you for a little while. I'll laugh and joke with you. But if you get serious and think that you're going to be a man and when I'm here, because there ain't but one man in this house, and when I say house, I mean the entire planet Earth. Anytime you think with your black self you're going to be a man in my presence, you got another thing coming. Now, like I said, I'll play with you. I'll kid around with you. I'll joke with you. I'll play some ball games with you and all like that. Don't you ever think that you're a man. You're a boy, or you can act like your sisters and be a girl, and you ain't got no other choices with me. But you got all kind of choices with your own people, even though your own people are really not your own people. They are mine too. But you can kill them. You can tell them, ain't nobody going to disrespect you. Well, you tell that to other black people, boy. Well, don't you ever even think it in my presence. You don't even have to say it. Don't you even act like you might be thinking that, or you're going to find out what the hell is. And you know what? The white supremacists have proven that they can deliver on that message every time, and I don't care who you are if you're black on this planet. When you really put them to an acid test, they have so far proven that nobody will take them on because nobody knows how to, including Neely Fuller. I'm just trying to find out. I'm in their prison, too. I was born in their prison, too. So to get to the crux of what we're talking about here, for black males, we're talking about manhood. And it's not going to happen, folks. As long as you have the system of white supremacy in place and not having a system of justice. This is why, rather than run around killing each other, that's not going to help.
Hi, everyone. I'm Chantel, and the time for becoming a secured party and creditor is now. To do it right, go to www.newdebtelimination.org. That's www.newdebtelimination.org. Contact Tarhaka. Learn how to be a creditor. Learn how to live in the private. Find out what private banking is all about. Learn about being in your proper status in commerce. Learn what a national and diplomat is all about. www.newdebtelimination.org.
Okay, that's going to do it for us. I've been your host, Tarhaka Amana L. Bay. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, keep in
Hi,
mind.
everyone. I'm Chantel. And the time for becoming a secured party and creditor is...
Hold on. Now, at the end of this month, on the 31st of January, me and Dr. Walter Williams will be back in, and we'll be doing another broadcast, and then we'll be going straight on into February. Okay? You all have a good night, and till next time, peace.